Merry Christmas everyone, welcome to the Paul Roggeman European Open Beach Championships Christmas Special.
Here we are today on the East North Yorkshire coastline on a beautiful sunny July day.
We're about to get geared up with the overall winner of 2018, Mr. Paul Med. Paul's going to go through some general hints and tips, getting you ready for that 2019 main event. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of 2018 overall, Mr. Paul Med. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Andy.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
I'm quite excited about this because this is totally different to anywhere I've been along this stretch of coastline. It's amazing how you can go from Bridlington up to this, because everything else is like really shallow. You have to, like the sand and that. We're down on rock marks here now.
Yeah, it's quite a big change. So you've got Flamborough Head in the distance. Round the corner you've got South Landing. Bridlington, then the Holderness Coast, which is pretty clean ground, sand and gravel. As you say, you've now got Filey Brigg, which is a rock peninsula that probably runs from here approximately a mile into the sea. Right. So heavy rock, kelp, deep water, tide, perfect for cod, wrasse, pollock, mackerel.
Tackling up a little bit, obviously for the venue.
A bit heavier, heavier gear, definitely.
But we're going to fish a couple of marks around this area today. So the first one we're going to be fishing is straight off onto the point.
Yeah, that's called the Brigg End. Right. So right in the very distance, it's just starting to uncover as it ebbs now. That's called the Brigg End. And then we'll come and fish the back of the Brigg. So you've got Gully Wash, Binks, Ling Rock, Green Rock. So we can have a go on all those venues today and hopefully a few fish will turn up.
Let's go and get it.
So we'll catch some fish.
After a 5 to 10 minute walk, we eventually reached the bottom. Broken to mixed ground as we walked over, heading out towards the end point. A group of baby seals laid out bathing in the sun, only to be found with two anglers as we slowly walked past, trying not to frighten them too much. The seals headed off to the right hand side, as you can see now. In into the water's depth. There was around 16 seals, baby seals, a beautiful sight as we walked out to fish off the end point. Paul was quick to set up, trying to get that bait straight out there. Due to wearing his waders, he was able to wade out through onto the next platform of rocks. Looking at the water out in front of him, trying to find out where the rocks would drop down off, the perfect place to put that bait. After looking and finding it, a quick 30-yard cast, and that bait was in the water. Rotten bottoms were definitely needed with the broken to mixed ground. Peeler crab was hopefully going to be the key to get that cod to the shoreline. As I looked out across the water with a slight chop breeze coming from the east, the tide was really moving fastly, but it wasn't long until we had that first sign of a fish, as Paul's rod tip slowly bent over. Paul, quick to his rod, slowly waiting and waiting for that bite and that fish to hit over. Sadly, the fish didn't take the bait and moved off. It was now my turn to try and get a bait out there.
What's going?
Okay guys, you can see, just walked out along the rock outcrop here now, and just blasted it over the other side of the rock ledges. Pulley rig, crab and squid bait. Just have to set that reel now, and fingers crossed we can all see a few fish out. Paul had a bite straight away first cast, and rotten bottom gear to date guys, so fingers crossed we'll see some fish.
As the tide slowly dropped away, it wasn't long until we had the second bite of the day. Paul straight into the fish as he wound like a madman trying to lift the fish off the seabed. Rotten bottoms, as you can tell, over this ground. The tide racing down through the broken ground. Losing that lead in the broken ground is vitally important, enabling you to get that fish to the shoreline. With applying constant pressure to the rod tip, Paul's able to keep the fish up off the broken ground and constantly moving up towards the surface. After a few moments, we were greeted with a nice sized codling. The fishing seemed to be really turning on. 2 bites and 2 casts, and 1 landed. After unhooking the fish to fight another day and returning them back to the sea, it wasn't long until our next guest of the day arrived. David Med, Paul's Med's father. I hadn't seen David since the 2018 European Open Beach Championships main event, and was looking forward to getting together with him for this session. Over the years, David and Paul have spent many a session fishing off this part of the coastline. Side by side, reeling in cod. What a better way to spend a family outing. As the tide fastly drifted out, you could see Paul was putting more and more distance into his casting, getting his bait out there into the tide. Paul tells me sometimes at this venue, hitting that tide is what is the difference between catching and not catching, and over the years, hitting the distance into the tide has really paid off. Both David and Paul have had some fantastic codling and cod, pollock and wrasse out this very venue. While I leave Paul to fish, I thought it would be a good chance to get together with David Med himself.
We have Paul's dad, David Med. Nice to meet you again, buddy.
Hi there.
Lovely day it's turned out, isn't it?
Great, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Now, David's fishing a rather traditional method up here. I haven't actually seen this before.
You have? Yeah.
I haven't. It's the first time I've ever seen someone fishing with one.
Scarborough reel.
Scarborough reel.
The traditional Scarborough reel. Goes right back to the tunny days.
Yeah?
Yeah, 20s, 30s.
How does that compare to the modern day multipliers and fixed balls then with fishing?
Well, close in, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because the retrieve is phenomenal.
Yeah.
With the size. But you don't get the distance.
No distance.
No. And nowadays, it's the distance that you want.
So what have you got on for main line there?
That's £40 silk cast.
Silk cast.
And a £60 leader.
£60 leader.
Yeah, club line.
And you're just really basics rigs.
It's very
rough
basic.
ground.
You know,
clip-on traces.
Yeah. With a snap link there so that you can change it up, do another bait up, just change it over.
Yeah.
Rotten bottom, a bait clip, just keep it all steady when you can.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're away.
Yeah.
60 yards, perfect.
Now, I got a feeling that reel's probably worth a fortune, small fortune.
Well, it was handmade by a guy called Edwin Pearce.
Okay. Local guy or?
Locally in Scarborough.
Yeah.
And he handmade the whole lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tough now.
Yeah.
With handles and stainless steel, brass pins, stainless steel.
Yeah.
Rivet.
And you've got that matched up with a Century Raptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that
classic.
I've had that since 01.
Yeah.
And
everything you need for the job.
Well, it's the best rod I've had.
Yeah.
And I'm nearly 72.
So you've been through a few rods in your time.
Oh yeah.
Let's see you get one out.
The old green hearts used to snap there because the salt water got in, and eventually the wood rod, the old green heart would snap there when you were catching. But this has done wonderful.
Ideal, mate. Well, we'll see you get one out now.
Right, come on, I'm going to try and get you a wrasse.
It was an interesting looking reel, something that I'd never seen before. Funny how times change.
So for like species wise up here, for wrasse, did you get any major sizes or?
Oh yeah, you can get them for £5, £6.
£5 or £6?
Yeah.
Cracking fish.
Oh yeah, cracking. Yeah.
What about it's quite rough ground actually, you tend to get a lot of bullets or conga?
No. The coalies have gone.
Used to be a lot of coalies.
Used to be a lot of coalies, but nowadays they're still there, but in such small numbers. Yeah.
What sort of sizes the coalies used to go up to then?
Well, a big one would be sort of £2.
Yeah.
£2.5.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
But you've got quite a lot, sort of £1.4. It's
a species I think all around the coastlines in the UK now have seen the decline rapidly over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
If you go back into the 90s, you would see a lot of cofish, especially around the £1 to £2 sort of size, and it's just a case you don't really see a lot of them anymore.
Yeah. Well, what's happened in the North Sea basically is the feed, like the sand eels and the herring side, have been depleted. So consequently, they've also depleted the mackerel and the coalies.
Yeah.
But years ago, this time of year, it could be alive down here.
Yeah.
With feed, you know, sand eels in here, and you'd get coalies in this gully here.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's your personal best off here then, coalies?
Well, I think years ago, somebody had one over £20.
Did they? What's the biggest you've had?
Oh, I would say £2.5.
Is it? Yeah. £20 big fish.
Yeah, it was worse than usual.
And they really fight hard, coalies.
Well,
my personal best on the shore was in Norway, and it was 10-8.
Yeah.
And to have a fish that size hit your bait, and I actually picked it up on the retrieve.
Yeah.
So as I was retrieving my bait, and just hit it middle of the night. You had to give it line straight away. It just hammered. They're like a hard fighting pollock, but with pollock they tend to fight for 60 seconds, and then they run out of breath. But the coalies fight like the gilt edge and that to the bitter ends. But what an absolutely cracking day! I know Paul's out of the point now, blasting bait after bait after bait. He's lost a couple, but you're going to do that with rough ground, aren't you?
Yeah, you're bound to do.
Yeah, but there's enough rods out here today, so fingers crossed. I think we should see a few fish. We're going to fish a different mark a bit later on. Ron, as the camera can pick up beside us, we've come down on the centre of the headline, the top to the left-hand side. But on the right-hand side now, you've got a lot of rock ledges that drop off into about 10 metres of water. Yeah. So hopefully the main target will be a few pollock. Yeah. A good chance for cod.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, on the flood.
So you get a wrasse out there, mate.
Right, we'll try for a wrasse. Small bait, well, small hooks, not a small bait, because you've got to attract them. But under that lot, there's a load of, there's two very small baits, because we've got very tiny mouths. Okay, let's go and give it a go.
As you can see now, they've used the waders to wade across just to get that extra bit of distance. If you look out across the sea now, you can see the tide line. The tide rips down through as it comes out from the bay. Maybe it's just about to form his cast. Known as the back cast. Very good distance, especially with the reel. It seems very smooth. Very interested way of fishing. See how the guys back in the old days used to go out targeting the cod and the pollock and that with reels like that. It's a bit of history at the same time. That tide is actually ripping down through there as we approach some low water. Dave open for a wrasse. So we're down now fishing for around an hour and a half, just about to approach the water.
Yep.
Missed a few.
Missed a few, lost a couple.
Always going to happen with rough ground fishing.
Yeah,
it's part and parcel of it, isn't it?
It is, Andy, yeah.
But for weather-wise and conditions, we've probably nailed it, haven't we?
Perfect. There's no wind, the sea's more or less dead flat. It's kind of overcast and sultry. It's about spot on, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful part of the coastline. So, leading up to Bridlington now. We've obviously got about 7 months now, obviously. So it comes round once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for your part and parcel of the competition, what do you look at doing these months leading up to the competition?
Well, I think it's kind of horses for courses, Andy. So obviously, when you get it water clear this time of year and settled, it's nice to get in the heavy ground on the rocks and in the weed. Yeah. That said, when the water's coloured down the Holderness coast, it's fished fantastically well for rays, for smoothhound, for bass. Yeah. There's been lake cod down there as well. Because it's been settled for the last couple of weeks or so, the colour started dropping out. And therefore,
that affects the fishing a lot then with the colour?
It certainly does in daytime. Yeah. So if that colour drops out down the Holderness and it starts going that sort of clear green colour, catches tend to reduce. You will catch the fish, but typically you've got to go and fish in the darkness hours.
You're looking for scent in that kind of chocolate. Similar to British Channel, you're looking for that murky fish hitting the scent and attacking the bait.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. I mean, the colour of the water, when it's coloured up, is very similar to Bristol Channel. So it's nice fresh crab bits, or in winter, black lugworm, gullies, and white worm as well. And then the fish obviously pick up the scent pearl.
Do you tend to stay up this end of the coast? Do you fish the beaches a lot as well?
Yeah, I kind of mix it up really. I mean, obviously, I'm from Scarborough, so I've been sort of brought up on the heavier ground, on the rocks. But it's nice to have different types of fishing, so we love going down the Holderness where it's a bit cleaner bottom, you're on the sand, you're getting different species, it's really interesting.
So for guys obviously coming up to fish the European Open, it's once a year thing, so is it worth venturing up this part of the coastline to attract the fishing and test out the fishing in different conditions, and that's through the summer months as well? Because you get the smoothhounds up here, really?
Yeah, we get odd ones on the rocks, not as many as you do on the clear ground. But I think with everything getting a little bit warmer, you're starting to get a lot more dogfish up here. You are picking odd smoothhounds up as well.
You don't normally see down to the warmer conditions.
Absolutely, and just over the way there, Flamborough and Bempton area, that can be very good again for cod, for pollock, for wrasse, for goldfish, for bass down there. So I mean, there's an abundance of sea life and fish species in this part of the country.
It's fantastic to see, especially the seals coming down for it now. Absolutely breathtaking. There's like probably 15 of them that drop down in the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's just like a kind of nature reserve. And I think the big thing is we love coming down and fishing down here, but it's about treating the place with respect, not leaving your litter.
One thing I did see, and especially up here now, not so much, we've been really clean, but a lot of the venues we went to yesterday, having a walk around with that, the litter is disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, just left a bit like, some of it's anglers as well, because there's fishing little pieces and that. It's just not that nice to see, but that's a lot of happens all over the coastlines really, and I think it kills it in the sport a little bit.
Yeah, it's disgraceful, and there really is no excuse. I mean, some of my bait is wrapped in cling film, and as you can see here, I've got a bucket full of cling film. None of that will be left. It'll go floating in the water. That's all in my bucket. That'll all go home and be put in the bin, the recycling.
Just leaving your footsteps. But well, let's get you one out now, mate. What rig are you tackling up with today?
So today I'm using a pulley rig, which is a pretty standard pulley rig, so 6 ounce weight. I've got a little clip on the eye of the lead there, which I'll show you how that works in a minute. It's basically just a put your hook onto a short rotten bottom, so obviously if you get plugged up with a fish, the lead will part and hopefully you'll get the fish. A little rotter at the bottom, 80 pound trace line, as
body, like,
as I say, a standard pulley down to the business end. So I've got a 5/0
Manta Extra style.
It is actually Manta Extra, I was looking for the word, Manta Extra, with a little bait stop there. So obviously this comes all the way down.
Clips down perfectly.
Whips on when I can get it on.
Very important to clip down your baits for especially anybody coming up here really. It just keeps your bait nice and intact when it's hitting the water, streamline extra distance for casting. And it's
there you go.
Very simple.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, when you're fishing in heavy ground, the more you've got on the bottom, the more you've got to get plugged up with. So
more expense you're losing every time.
More expense. So when you're rock fishing, really, in essence, it's best just to keep it simple.
Very. Well, let's get it baited up now, mate, and fingers crossed we get someone out.
Try and get one out. Absolutely.
There's your rasp for you.
That's what they are there, mate.
So guys, we're going to get this back straight away, but within 5 minutes you pull one straight out, mate, didn't you? Yeah. I'll tell you what, he's a bit lively. We're going to get him back as quick as we can now to live to fight another day. There you go, mate, well done, bud.
Okay.
There we go. There he goes. Approaching low water now, but as you can see it's behind me, it's absolutely perfect. Flat, calm. And to be honest, it's been a pleasure coming up, especially this time of year. Most of the time we come up, especially myself and Nick, when we come up before, it's like January, February, March sort of time. Very cold, winters, you're going for the winter species at the end of the day, you're going for the cod, you're going for the whiting, you're going for the odd fawnback. And it's nice to get a chance to have a go at a few of the summer species at the same time. But what a beautiful part of the coastline. I can really highly recommend anybody who's looking to get away, trying something new. Absolutely stunning, really stunning. One thing I like about this stretch of coastline as well, it suits every type of angler. If you're disabled, if you find it hard getting to venues, the mark we've come to today, I would say it's not a long walk, maybe 10-15 minutes. It's quite flat and it's not steep, and to be fishing off the ledges into rough ground, if you've never tried it before, absolutely perfect. But as always, safety. You're fishing out on these platforms, and where you've come out to today, the tide will come in behind you at times, so you need to make sure you've got your whereabouts. So as you're coming up here and you've got gullies you're passing through, you need to maintain your surroundings at all times to make sure you can get back through these gullies and not put yourself in any danger.
A nice Filey Brigg summer cod. It's not fully red, but you can see it's just tinged with a little bit of sort of browny red. It's probably what we would call a tide fish, so it's not completely fresh run. It's been in and out of the weed, so it's got that sort of brown colour rather than a bright red or a whiter colour. So it's what we call a tide fish. You can So
markings, isn't it?
Probably about 2–2.5 pound. Nice summer codling from Filey Brigg in Yorkshire.
Look at that, boys and girls. So guys, mission accomplished. Not the biggest of fish, but Paul's got one out. Absolutely cracking venue. Look at the colourings in that cod. I mean, perfect conditions. They're quite a lot lighter than that down in the Bristol Channel and that, but lovely red markings, deep red markings, and yeah, the fishing's really turned on now. Another cod out for Dave. And it looks like Paul could possibly be in with one behind. Looks like he is. See something coming up through the water on there. Another prime cod, I believe. Not the biggest of fish, but some fantastic sport. Whether that's coming in now looks deep red. Is it a cod or is it a wrasse? Small ballon. Well, what can I say? Double hook up from both men here today. We're going to be as quick as we can, but we've got a fine ballon there. Nice bend right over in the rods here.
Yeah, straight away within about
Lovely
30 seconds of it in the bottom, straight onto it under. Yeah.
It's nice to see them both lip hooked as well.
Yeah,
so
they can go back
straight back. Same for you, David.
Yeah, but on a bass rig, on a wrasse rig, but it's a small cod rig.
Yeah. We've done the photos. Let's get them back to fight another day.
Right here.
There we go, lovely to see them going back alive. There he goes.
Sometimes they'll go up on the belly and they'll look like they're dead, but they're not. He'll kick in a minute. They always lie on the side, don't they, for some reason? As you see him now, flip down, there he goes. As you can see what Dave's doing now.
Holding it up. Look, his fins are going now.
Just letting the fish get the water back into him.
He needs to recover.
And surprising how well they will go back if they're handled correctly.
Look, he's coming round now. He's about ready to go. There's a big deep hole here, so if he goes into it, he'll sit there until tide comes in. Come on, he's getting weak.
He's ready to go, isn't he?
Yeah, he's coming round now. He's getting his breath back.
There he goes, look at the tail and he's off. Look at that, guys.
Look at there he goes.
A little bit of TLC, and it's just proof that these fish do go back to fight another day.
Get him when he's a 10-pounder.
As we approached low water, the fishing started to really take off. A fisher cast. As you can see here, Paul pumping his Ziplex rod, trying to get the fish up off the seabed, through the kelp and hopefully to the shoreline. As I stood looking towards the surface of the water, trying to see if it was that codling we were after, and guess what? It sure was.
So another Yorkshire coast Filey Brigg cod, probably pushing 2.5–3 pound, not far off 3 pound that one. Again, a tide fish, so in and out of the weed and the tide. So a lovely fish. It's just started to flood down here on the Brigg end now. Always a good time because we've always got tide down here. And that's what, I think 4 fishing forecasts, 3 codlings and a wrasse. So they're on thick now. They're coming on really well. So always puts a smile on your face when you're catching Yorkshire cod on Filey Brigg. Come on.
As you can see now, Dave's decided to go for a proper thick spool reel just to get that distance. Shimano Bullseye. First time out as well with it. Let's hope he christens the reel.
As one casted out, the other one was reeling in. As you can see, David pulling another cod. 2 generations of anglers, from father passed down to son. But I wanted to know more about Paul's angling history, so I decided to sit down with David for another little chat.
So we have David Met, Paul's father.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about Paul's angling history. How old was he when he first started fishing?
Oh, he was in the Carricot. We parked near the church. The country park wasn't there then, right. So we had 2 fields to walk over, dragging the pram. And basically, I went to a place called the Perch, which is up on the cliffs north of here.
Yeah.
And he was sat in the Carricot, his mum with him, and I was fishing off the perch.
Yeah.
So basically, it's been coming since from a baby.
Yeah.
But effectively, I would say 4, 5-year-old.
Yeah.
We had him down on here fishing.
Yeah.
You know, from 4 or 5-year-old.
So fishing's a big part of the family life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, all the family used to come with the grandparents on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Get settled here, make a little camp, get out the wind in the sun, and then we'd start fishing.
Yeah.
And so he's lived on here from a baby.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lovely coastline to fish.
It's spectacular. And the thing was that in those days, in the 70s, you know, you could almost guarantee fish.
Yeah.
Every time you came. It was so prolific.
Have you found a big decrease over the years with the fish then?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the cods remained relatively stable.
Yeah.
The significant thing is that they're generally not close in now.
No.
As I said to you before, they tend to be on a line in the tide rather than in the rock edges.
You put that down to the seals around here.
Well, you saw down the end of the brig there was, what, a dozen seals.
Yeah.
You know, a cod won't hang about where there's seals.
No, definitely not. He'll get eaten up straight away, you know?
Yeah, he's either going to get eaten or he's going to swim away.
So was it just like a hobby for Paul growing up, like fishing? Was it something that he took very seriously, even from a young age?
Just a way of life. I mean, from an early age, as soon as he was able, he was in competitions.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't remember his exact age, but I'll say 8, 9.
Yeah.
He won his first competition on the Marine Drive. But not only that, the cod that he caught was the biggest cod for the week for the adults as well.
I find it really good to see a father and son. Yeah. And it's a great way to bond with your children fishing.
Absolutely.
And it's an outdoor activity.
Absolutely.
To me, there's no other better sport to be in, really.
It's
a great time. You just rod in the water, as we've seen earlier on. Both stood side by side, reeling in fish, having a chat. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, grow up together. I mean, keep them off the streets, keep them interested. They've got a hobby.
Yeah.
Basically, if they get hooked on fishing, they've got a hobby for life.
Yeah.
And you can go away from it and come back to it. For example, when he was growing up as a teenager, he was excellent at cricket and football.
Yeah.
And he did cricket and football, but he always kept the fishing there.
Yeah.
To either a lesser or then a greater extent.
So we learnt a lot from you growing up with general fishing skills.
Well, it does help.
Yeah, it is a big part. I wasn't lucky enough to have that, to be fair. My dad wasn't into fishing, I had to learn it all myself, and it's something I picked up in the later stages of life, to be honest, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's the tranquility and the peacefulness. Just when you go fishing, it just takes me away from everything else that's going on in my life.
Absolutely.
It's just sitting there, and all it's about is concentrating on catching that fish. And yeah, you spend hours and hours watching that rod tip sometimes, and when it goes, it just pays off at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a great feeling, you know, catching fish and even releasing them. I love releasing them now.
I really enjoyed today to see how much care went back in to making sure the fish went back alive. And it's a good thing to put across to the next generation of anglers, that if these fish are caught and unhooked and cared for correctly, you can take your photos and different things and they will go back. Yeah. Especially cod. A lot of people think cod won't go back. You try and put it back straight up the way of the catch, it lies up, so they end up thinking, right, I'm going to take it over the sea. But as you saw then, a little bit of TLC, and it went back swimming to fight another day.
No problem.
And that's the only way we're going to start catching these bigger fish. Because over the years, the big 10s and 20s and stuff like that, they're harder and harder to catch.
Diminishing, you know, substantially.
And the reason for that is that it's too many of the little ones being taken.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, you know, you could, every summer, a double figure cod was caught off here, at least one.
Yeah.
Now, it's a rarity.
No.
Absolutely.
But as you saw today, what a fantastic place to fish. Down here a few hours, lots of fish pulled out. We've had wrasse, we've had cod.
Yeah.
And it's nice to wait.
And you've seen a mackerel from
another
another
mackerel
guy.
coming out.
You know, you know, there's just such a lot. There's bass occasionally, not necessarily at this venue.
Yeah.
But there are bass here now, pollock. You know, it's just amazing in summer.
So you've been fishing the European Open since it first started as well?
Yep, absolutely.
What for you, what did it mean for Paul to win last year? It must have been a very big honour.
Well,
really,
yeah,
big
I mean,
for him.
It's a culmination of, well, all the years of knowledge that we've picked up.
Yeah. Because
when we first went down there, it was just chuck it and chance it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then over the years, you start analysing things. You need to find the right location.
Definitely.
And you need to do that homework before the actual match. You've got to find where the gullies are. But ultimately, what I've found and what he has found is that ultimately it's distance that counts.
Yeah, I found that.
In the right place with distance, you've got a good chance.
Some of those bigger fish out.
Oh, and good bait as well.
Quality bait's always needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Worms seems to be a good choice of bait over last year. A lot of guys were using worm and catching on worm bait.
Yeah, worm, white rag.
White rag's obviously a deadly bait.
It is, yeah. You know, I think it's probably one of the best down there.
Yeah.
At that time of the year.
Yeah. Something you always look forward to, because over the years, when we first started fishing it, we had such a good time coming up, and it's the joy of getting anglers together, fun and laughter, good crack fishing in the daytime, back having a few pints with lots of anglers.
A bit of banter, you know.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
But there is the competitive element, it's always there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as I've said to him frequently, there's only ever going to be one winner.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether there's 10 competitors or 1,000 competitors. There's only ever going to be one winner.
Yeah. And your chance is exactly the same.
You've got to narrow the angles down for it to be you.
Do you fish it a lot coming up to that time then?
Yeah, we generally start going down the beaches once the new year sets in. Yeah. January, February.
Work out where the fish get pulled out.
Have a look at the beaches. You know, see how it's fishing, and then take it from there.
Yeah. So Paul, it's been a cracking day so far. A few fish out?
Yeah, we've seen some cod to about £3. We've had several of those. We've had some decent wrasse to about £2. There's been a few mackerel caught on the back of the brig here. But a pollock has eluded us. I've had a go for a pollock for the last half an hour, so no pollock. But yeah, all in all, a good day.
We're at the pollock for the rest of the day now, and fingers crossed to see one out.
Yeah, there's still a chance of a pollock. Yeah.
So for last year's event, for you, obviously to win that overall event for both days, did that mean to you? Did that set in straight away, or was that something what set in after a few days?
I mean, it means the world, because obviously it's a huge match across Europe, not just the British Isles. And having previously won the Saturday on 3 occasions, and missing out so closely with lost fish on the Sunday, to win that 4th Saturday and then go on and win it overall was fantastic.
It's something what's it's put a lot of time and effort into it, because I've just been talking to your old man, and he's all of a sudden, from New Year, you start hitting the beaches then.
Yeah, that's what we typically do. I mean, we start going down there when the conditions are right, because obviously it needs to be settled, so nice and calm from about November, but then we certainly start cranking it up from December time over Christmas into January and February, because you then get a good idea of what the beach is looking like, you know, where the gullies are.
Because they change every year, I suspect, yeah?
Absolutely it does, and it can change more frequently than that. I mean, almost, you know, from sea to sea. If you get a big sea, it can change the beach. So we're doing our research almost every week leading up to the two-day event.
And obviously, weather permitting then, you're looking at what the weather is to where you're going to fish.
Yeah, absolutely, because you know, if you get onshore winds down there, it makes it very difficult for everybody. There's only limited places that you can get shelter. If you get a big northeasterly, northerly, easterly, and then sometimes they open the river up, which isn't ideal, but at least you get to fish. So hopefully we're looking for sort of westerly, southwesterly winds, not too much wind, so the sea's nice and flat, plenty of colour, and then competitors can pick from pretty much all of the marks right along the whole of the Holderness.
It's good because it caters for all abilities as well. At the end of the day, it's not always about distance on certain venues. You're picking the right venues, you'll get the fish closer in. So you're looking to pick it up, and maybe if guys are there the couple of days before over low water, looking along, if you could fish in a high water tide, picking up those gullies, working out where they are, marking them where they are, and you're picking the areas which you're homing in on to the gullies basically, and food sources where the fish are going to home in on the food, and that's what they're going for at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely, and fish have been caught down the Holderness, literally a rod length out. But what I've found is has been most productive for me. Small worm bait, clipping it down, and really sending it as far as you can into the tide. That's where I've had the vast majority of my fish. And but like you say, it's a very kind of even venue, and you can catch fish, you know, much shorter in than that.
So for guys coming up for the first time to fish the event, what tips would you really give them for fishing it?
Well, I think if they haven't fished the venue before, if they can, you know, arrive a day or two earlier, drive up and down the venue. If they can get the weekend before, that's even better, because usually they're the big spring tides. Go and have a look at the different venues that they might be interested in, over low water. See what the beach looks like. Is there a bit of a bank that can stay on over high water? Is there good gullies? You know, what features are there on the beach? And then they're going with a plan in mind, rather than going blind and fishing blind.
It's chucking and open really at the end of the day. I always like to do my fishing with that. I'm putting the bait there for a reason, not just of hitting and hoping in, because your chances of pulling a fish out, you usually use your head a little bit. You're creating your own luck, basically, and that's what fishing's all about, is catch.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. I mean, it's 100% right. The more that you fish a venue, the more that you learn to know it. The more that you do your research leading up to the match, the more that you put yourself out to get real quality bait. That's a big deal. You're stacking the probabilities in your favour then. There's no guarantees, but you're stacking the probabilities in your favour.
It's a gamble all the time, but hopefully it pays off.
But
I know a lot of the Dutch lads will come across, they come up the week before, and they'll fish and fish and fish and fish and fish. And the first day they have off, obviously leading up to the competition, but they've done all the homework in to work out, speaking to locals. They've been really friendly up here in the past. Even the guys we speak to in the tackle shops are always willing to help and say there's been fish being pulled out there and that, and that's what it's about at the end of the day. I know it's a competition, everybody wants to win it, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of education and a lot of advice there given to guys fishing it for the first time.
Yeah, again, that's absolutely spot on, and I think the thing that differentiates from the two-day, obviously, yes, there's a lot of really competitive anglers who want to do well. You know, they want to be in the prizes, they want to win. But I think also there's a lot of the really good anglers who are pretty generous. So if people are new to the venue, if they're new to the match, just turn up and, you know, approach some of the guys, some of the locals. Okay, some, you know, might not give you too much away, but the vast majority of the guys will pass on a few tips.
There is a few, obviously, safety issues with some of the venues, because obviously if we've got a big high water what's pushing up into the back of the cliffs and that's something you've obviously always got to be aware of, because if you're being pushed back up, there has been cases in the past where guys have been pushed up with the tide and can't get it back up. But it's obviously knowing the venues and looking for the whereabouts, and obviously tide lines and different things to go along with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of sort of seamanship really, just sort of common sense, again, knowing the venue, making sure that you do have an appropriate exit. That time of year, the mud banks are often very, very wet. So whilst you might think you can get off the beach, some of the mud can be incredibly sticky, very deep.
That on its own can be more dangerous than the incoming water.
It can be, and if you get cut off and you can't get back up the clay banks because it is wet and muddy, well, you can find yourself.
My advice then for anybody coming up for the first time is to try and stay away from them sort of venues, because there's a lot of venues along that stretch of coastline where are easy enough to get to. So half of them you can pull up in the car and walk down the bank and you'll fish it straight to some of them. And to be honest, last year a lot of the places where the fish come out were those easy venues.
Absolutely. And sometimes you're absolutely right. Some of the best fish and best fishing is almost straight out the back of your car. And that's again what makes the two-dayer a very fair match, because young competitors, women competitors, juniors, people with disabilities, there's always somewhere, conditions obviously willing, there's always somewhere that most anglers can find to fish.
What do you think of obviously the flatty bash? Is something you take part in on the Friday? Because that's a little bit of an extra thing what's been put on. I think that works really well over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's again another feature. I haven't fished it. I do like flatty fishing. I think, you know, obviously getting time off work and the like.
Yeah, some of the guys, obviously, because you're quite local, but for guys travelling up on the Friday, sometimes people get up on the Wednesday and Thursday, and you're thinking, oh, I've got to Saturday now to fish, and that Friday just helps you get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, it does. I think it's a good feature.
Yeah,
it's popular. A lot of people fish it. I think for me personally, I like to have that Friday to start focusing on what's going to happen on Saturday for the main and Sunday. Getting psyched out for the big event.
Well, it's not got long now. Obviously, it's Christmas Day. You guys are watching this now. Got less than 2 months before you'll be hitting it again. So I want to wish you all the best of luck again this year, mate. Andy. And we'll see you at the big day.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
What a fantastic day, and what a pair of anglers. I mean, it was great to see the knowledge that David passed down to Paul, but over the time, the dedication and time that Paul's put into the angling sport himself. A top angler with some fantastic fish to his name. As we watched Paul's rod tip bend over for the last time of the day, sadly the adventure had come to an end. We headed to the right hand side of the headland and made our way up an old ladder, which took out a big part of the walk. It was an amazing day, and we would like to thank Paul Med and David Med for the time into making this production. Two local anglers to the East Riding coastline with such knowledge and such care for the sport. It was a real pleasure to fish with both guys, and it's something I look forward to doing over and over again. I'm sure this will not be the last time we see Paul in the Sea Angling Adventure series, and we look forward to getting together and hitting that water's edge for another adventure.
Yorkshire coast cod fishing at Filey Brigg. Come on!
Well then guys, an end to the Christmas special. For myself and the Sea Angling Adventures team and everybody at the European Open Beach Championships, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you all at the 2019 event.